Pretty sure he wasn't possessed.
What? Oh, no, of course he was. Because when he came in, he said something about Satan. You didn't hear him say that?
Hello, everybody. I'm John.
I'm Justin.
And we're the Gore
Goblins.
Goblins. This is our show where we talk about horror movies we like.
Some we don't.
And some we've never seen before.
We got the fucking intro back. Hell yeah.
Yeah, we did it.
We did it this time.
Congratulate us, please.
Woo.
I just fucking wherever you listen to it, just I don't know, clap or something. People will look at you weird, but that's okay.
They
People
look at us weird all the time.
Yeah, see, there we
see
go. There we go. We already do. Anyway, today we watched, we didn't watch it today, but today we're going to talk about a little New Zealand movie. It's basically an exploitation film called Deathgasm.
Deathgasm.
Came out in 2015. And what did you think, Justin?
It was fun.
It was definitely
really
fun. Fun, I think, is the right word. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not good. It's not bad. It's just fun.
Yeah, it's
like,
exactly.
There's no other way to go into watching that movie.
I was gonna say I don't know if I'd call it a good movie, but I definitely call it like it feels like a sci-fi movie that was made without FCC restrictions, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because it was gory as shit.
Oh yeah.
But like it felt like a sci-fi movie, but just with Australians or New Zealanders, I guess. Yeah, they're all the same. Who cares? Anyway, we're gonna get canceled for that. Whoops. Anyway, no, it's fun. Fun's the right word, but it definitely looks the part of an independent film, and that's not the first time we're gonna cover something like that. There's a movie I picked up a while back from like Half Price Books. I think it's called Beyond the Gates, which is like they play like a board game or some shit. That's another one that looks like it was recorded with a $12 budget. But you know what? That's part of the charm, I guess. The movie very clearly borrows from Evil Dead.
Clearly.
And I think that's why the low budget shit kind of works, because it's so very obviously
low budget.
Like an Evil Dead thing. And Evil Dead's always been low budget to me. That's part of why I love it. But it also, Justin was saying that it also kind of felt like Scott Pilgrim a little bit.
Yeah, when it had the little graphics pop up on screen.
Yeah, it had its own style to it, but like it wasn't as frequent as Scott Pilgrim. It was just like, I only really remember one part that had it, that was like, I guess, gaudy about it, which is when they're trying to come up with band names.
Yeah.
But like, I was like, like as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, like Scott Pilgrim, all right. Like instantly right away. But I mean, yeah, it's fun. I'll give it that. It's definitely a good movie to watch with a bunch of people.
Yeah.
It's to see reactions and stuff. It's very vulgar. It's very infantile.
Yeah.
And like, because of that, because I'm not. If I had seen this in 2015 when I was 20, I probably would have been like, oh, fuck yeah, this movie's amazing. Like, oh my God, this is hilarious.
Same.
But watching it as a 28-year-old is kind of just like, oh, okay, haha, I guess. Like, it's just, like a lot of the jokes didn't really work for me. But like, I don't know, you got to admire, I guess, the spirit behind it, because you could tell that everybody had fun with it. And in the interviews I've seen with the director and stuff, he seemed pretty passionate about it. And you know, that's always, I mean, even if a movie's shitty, if it's got passion behind it, I'll respect it.
Oh yeah.
In some form or fashion. And this definitely feels like a movie made by a dude that loves like horror movies and shit.
And metal.
Also metal. I was gonna say there's a lot of references that I picked up on, and I'm sure Justin did too, that relate to just that whole subculture and shit. Like I know, like I've seen people at concerts that are just like Zach, that are exactly like Zach, that like live and breathe that shit and are just giant dicks, but like they're all right once you get past that. But like I've seen plenty of people like that. Also seen a lot of people like Brody, like you know they're all, because I go to a lot of death metal shows, so like you know. I know exactly what type of people they are, and it was kind of funny watching it. Also, Brody, but it was kind of funny because like Brody was like was it because like there's a part where they're in a record store and I think Brody picks up an Autopsy record and Zach's like, now that's a fucking metal record, and I was like, would somebody that listens to Trivium like Autopsy? And then I was like, yeah, I guess so. I mean, I like a lot of weird shit. That's fair, but like I'm so used to like the different what's the word? The like infighting between different like metal subgenres and shit.
War bullshit.
that I feel like somebody like Zach would see Trivium and just be like, what the fuck? Why are you listening to that? Like, because I still have family members that are like that are like, oh, it's fucking, oh, but they're not real metal. They're like posing. I'm like, who the fuck cares? If it sounds good, it sounds good. I don't give a shit.
That's Josh logic.
That is Josh, yeah. Already, we're starting off. That's how you know it's a good episode.
Well, it's music related, so of course Josh has to be brought
we gotta
up.
talk about Josh.
Josh is the guy that overanalyzes metalcore songs.
But you know, to be fair, Autopsy is a good band. But and I like Shogun. I think that's the only Trivium album that I've ever like really like enjoyed. I front to back. I can't really because I haven't really taken the time to listen to any others. But I like Shogun a lot. But Shogun's kind of nostalgic for me because I was in 8th grade when that shit came out, and I was down from the sky.
Yeah,
that song. It's a good song. I like that one a lot. But. Yeah, there's also in that same record store scene, fucking Brody like unwittingly pulls out a fucking Poison album, and Zach just kind of like makes his face, and that was one of the jokes that got me to laugh out loud. A lot of the jokes that got me to laugh were like related to shit like that.
And again, Josh likes Poison.
Yeah, so yeah, it's totally viable that somebody listens to Trivium will like Autopsy. If Josh will listen to fucking Poison and then I don't know Meshuggah or whatever. It totally makes sense then. Never mind. But those were the kind of jokes that got me. A lot of those, because a lot of the like dick jokes and stuff. I mean, you know, they have their place, but
it's just okay.
Yeah, exactly. Like when like that part where they're looking for the pages or whatever. And hold on a second.
No.
Yeah, go ahead, Justin.
Waiting room.
What?
I don't know. I was just stalling for time while you were doing that.
Yeah, just if you know, life stuff.
Life.
But what was it with what was I talking? Oh yeah, when they're looking for like the pages of the what is the Black Hymn or whatever.
The Black Hymn.
And which sounds like a Sabbath song, I should stress.
Yeah, it does.
It sounds very much like a Sabbath song. But and you know what? The first time I heard Sabbath, I went into a catatonic state, and I started drooling, and it was awesome. But
like when what's her name? What the fuck is her name? I just had it in my head.
Come on,
Medina. Like when she puts on the headphones.
Oh yeah, she's like, whoa.
She's like transformed.
Yeah, it's like this whole like her world.
I mean, I
up.
kind of get that because I felt like that the first time I listened to Slipknot. I was like,
yeah.
What the hell is this? Why have I never heard this? Like,
I
thought Linkin Park and Disturbed were peak.
I think we all did at some point, but no, that was like what happened to me with I've had that happen multiple times. It happened with like Sabbath, and then when I heard like Slipknot, I was like, whoa, these guys are fucking crazy. And then like I started kind of dipping out of metal, and then I remember I was watching this guy on YouTube who was recommending like metal stuff, and he was like, yeah, he's like Gatecreeper. They're a band from Arizona, just put out a new record. I think it was Sonar and Deprivation. This was around the time this came out, like 2015, and I remember he was like, if you like thrash, if you like punk, he's like, you'll fucking love this. So I give it a listen, and it was one of those, oh my God, like this is fucking insane. Like, oh, the drums and everything. So like I've had that moment multiple times, but like I can definitely like empathize with that because I have felt that like that's what metal feels like to me. I don't know. I really dig it. But back to like the dick jokes, one of the ones that sticks out in my head the most is the one where they're looking for the pages for the Black Hymn, and he's got the weed whacker, and there's that fat dude with his dick hanging out, and he just kills him. And Zach's like, "Oh, you're really good at whacking dudes off, huh?" And I was just like, yeah, okay. Like that's a joke I would have made with Justin like 10 years ago.
But didn't they call it something different, like a weed whipper or something?
Yeah,
because they say it differently.
It's like they call gas petrol and stuff like that. That's Australians are weird. I don't know. They watch Bushworld Adventures. It's the best Rick and Morty episode you'll ever see. But that's besides the point. Because we're here to talk about Deathgasm, obviously. And,
Obviously.
And yeah, like we said, it's very fun. I will say that I don't think there was a point where I was bored. Much like Evil Dead, it doesn't really waste any time. You kind of get introduced to Brody in the beginning, and like I like the black metal album cover aesthetic that's going on while he's like while he's introducing himself and shit, where it's all like black and white and overexposed and shit. That's takes me right back to those Dark Throne album covers. But yeah, it's I don't think I was ever bored, and
Nope.
yeah, it was fun. It was fun. So we're gonna listen. I saw this on Friday. Today's Monday. I watched it on Friday. Justin watched it last night while he was half asleep, right?
Yep.
Okay, so
Thanks, Cracker Barrel.
so see now that's a multi-layered joke, because it could either be because you ate too much at Cracker Barrel and they load their shit with carbs and it's gonna make you fall asleep, or it's because they work Justin like a dog because they hate him.
Yeah, look at that burn on my arm.
Look at that. See, you can't see it, but I can. And it looks like, are you sure that's a burn? Jesus
burn.
Christ. It looks like a fucking cut. All right. Well, anyway, Justin cut himself. So, you know, but no, it's a burn mark. It's very obviously a burn mark. It does kind of look like a cut, though. But so we're going to try to this is kind of why I wanted to do this, too, because we're going to bumble our way through fucking recounting the plot. So it starts with the aforementioned narration where Brody's like introducing himself and shit, and like it's clearly like an after the fact thing, and he's just like, oh yeah, I moved in with my fucking religious aunt and uncle, and he's like, but all that devil shit, you know, that's real, I know. And I'm just like, okay. And you get like little flashes, I think, of like what's to come, like different zombie. Well, I guess they're possessed demon people.
They're possessed.
Yeah, they definitely. I will say this about the possessed: they definitely look more human than Deadites. Because Deadites,
it's like it reminded me of the possessions in Supernatural.
Okay,
That's
you know,
what it looks like.
I don't know what you're talking about, but yeah, I never watched Supernatural.
And the part where Zach and Brody are in the car after one of their little fights, I think.
Yeah.
That scene is just mimicking Supernatural
Oh,
too.
okay. Yeah, I feel like this movie draws from a lot of different influences, so I wouldn't be surprised. Isn't the car in Supernatural like an old style car too?
Yeah,
and that's what they were driving. That's the kind of car that Zach had, if I'm not mistaken. It was kind of old,
I think
like
so.
70s.
I don't know. Josh could probably name the fucking car model from Supernatural by memory. I don't remember.
That sounds like Josh. But yeah. So we get that little quick intro. Apparently, like, I think his dad died, and then his mom was like sucking off a trucker or something. So I guess CPS moves him away. I don't know. Does he like say why he
think
leaves?
He just said why he left.
He just oh yeah, my mom was sucking off a trucker, and I just left. That's very bizarre, but I mean, good for him, I guess. And so like he moves to fucking, I don't remember the name of the town, but it's some like town in New Zealand, and then like his aunt and uncle are very religious, and they have this douchey kid, this douchebag son. I don't remember his name. It's not worth remembering, honestly. But he's a dick. He starts picking on Brody and stuff, and you know who Brody kind of reminds me of?
Who?
Kind of reminds me of James a little bit. Just
Yeah.
a little bit. It's like the hair and the overall like happy-go-lucky attitude,
Yeah, I
kinda.
could see it.
It's fucking like the whole time I was watching it, I was like, this is just fucking James. Like, what the fuck? This is weird. Shout out to James, by the way. He's cool. Sometimes, you know, I see him every now and then at Buc-ee's, but that's besides the point. Buc-ee's, it's a Texas tradition.
Is it?
I wish I like knew like what the advertisements, what like the official slogan for Buc-ee's was, so that way I could like pretend to do an ad break for Buc-ee's and then get sued into oblivion.
No, we don't need to be sued. We're good without that.
But anyway, yeah, so Brody's like, you know, despite the shitty circumstances, he's a pretty happy guy. You know, he just picks up and keeps going. All his friends are losers. One of them is named Dion, as in Celine Dion. and he's a D&D guy. I'm pretty sure he meets him when he's getting like, what is it, a D10 getting stuffed up his nose because like Dion corrects him. Or he's like, oh, I've never seen somebody get dice stuffed up their nose, and he's like, oh, actually, it's a D10. And I'm just like, oh, you're one of those guys, all right. And then Dion's friend is a big dude. Don't remember his name. You remember his name?
I don't remember.
God damn it. I liked him too. I thought he was funny, but I can't remember his fucking name. God damn it. But it's this big guy, and he's cool. I'm going to look it up, actually. Fuck this. I have the internet. Why am I not just looking stuff up? I already have the page open too. Let me see.
I just have his death in my head.
Yeah, that was rough. Giles.
Giles.
Yeah, he's also a D&D guy. He's, they're all buddies.
Which that movie looks really bad.
What do you mean? Oh, Dungeons and Dragons? I don't know. It looks like it'll be fun. It looks like it'll be fun.
Fun in a bad way.
Exactly. It looks like it's gonna be a big, sloppy time at the cinema. But yeah. So we're introduced to all those, and then like, Brody mentioned something about how like the only safe haven he really had was a record store, and the record store had a name that I liked, but I can't remember the name now. So I guess I didn't like it that much. But he goes into the record store, and like the owner's wife is like a fucking fortune teller, and like she like sees a sign of the coming apocalypse when Brody interacts with Zach. We also get some foreshadowing with, or I guess we also get something that's reincorporated later with like, there's this in-universe band. I don't remember their name, and I don't know why I don't remember their name, but their lead singer, whose name was, I got it here somewhere. No, I don't. Ricky Daggers, which is an obvious to me. That's an obvious like Motley Crue reference. And yeah, he's in some fucking band. They were in like some Satan band, and Ricky Daggers like apparently went into hiding or whatever, and Brody's like, oh, that's that album, that's cool, and the owner's like, yeah, it's only $666, or there was only 666 copies made, or something like that, and then this is where Brody talks about how he meets Zach, and Zach is just this kind of a dick. he's kind of a dick. And he's a big metalhead. He's wearing his fucking denim vest with all the patches and shit. To be fair, Brody is too, but Zach's like, the type that lives and breathes that shit, to where like I can just imagine he just like lives in a tiny little apartment that hasn't been cleaned in months, and all he has is just like fucking death metal posters and albums. On a record player too, not on a CD, because that's poser shit. On a record player, and he just listens to that all day, and he's probably watched documentaries on Mayhem on YouTube like millions of times. This dude lives and breathes it, and Brody's like, when I met him, it changed my life, and boy did it, boy did it change his life. We're gonna go into that,
it did.
But yeah, the fortune teller gets like some like vision of the apocalypse, and because she's like doing a palm reading. That's not how palm reading works, by the way. But we get introduced. Him and Zach start hanging out. They start having a good time, and
Hacks and Sword.
There we go, Hacks and Sword. What a name!
That was the band's name.
Like that could realistically be an '80s metal band name. Like 100%.
And the director had said that he made the lead singer's appearance based off of like Iggy Pop and someone else.
Yeah, Iggy. I was gonna say he kind of looks like Iggy Pop. And then there was this game also kind of reminds me of Brutal Legend.
You said game.
Movie kind of reminds me of Brutal Legend.
I couldn't finish that game.
This movie reminds me of that, just because, like, I don't know, it's the aesthetics of it and stuff. But yeah, so eventually, we see their hijinks and stuff. And at some point in all of this, I think Brody sees Medina for the first time, which is this blonde girl, real preppy. She's dating fucking
She's the cause of all what unexpected boners in the high school.
yeah, something like
something like that.
Again, one of those lines that's kind of like okay.
Okay.
If I was in high school, that'd be funny, maybe. But like, I'm 10 years removed. I don't know. I don't know how that works anymore.
It's his cousin's girlfriend.
Yeah, his cousin's girlfriend, and she's pure. So you know she recognizes that her boyfriend's kind of a piece of shit, but she stays with him for a little bit. I don't know. I guess that happens sometimes. Well, no, I guess she breaks up with him pretty soon because then she like tries to talk to Brody a bit. But like, yeah, Brody meets her, and then like they go and film. I think they go and film. Do they start? Do you remember if they start the band before or after they go to Ricky Dagger's house?
They start the band, and then they film the video. After they film the video, that's when Brody and Medina meet.
Okay,
for the first
okay.
time they talk on the bench.
Yeah, because they start the band and you have that scene where they're all trying to come up with band names, which is pretty funny.
Yeah.
What was it, like Maggot Boner?
Yeah.
Was one of them?
Maggot Boner.
No, Maggot Sperm.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
Yeah, that's what
Maggot
it was.
Sperm. I feel like Boner was one of them.
Yeah, Boner was involved in one of the names. I just can't remember it.
Like, and that's the thing that I appreciate is none of these names are commercially viable. Because that's how you know it's
and
real.
they were all off the top of their heads.
Yeah, and they were all off the top of their heads.
Wait, what was the filming? It was only like 20 days of filming.
Yeah, it was like 20 days. It was like 20. They had 20 days to film this thing, so it was all off the top of their head. And like, even if it wasn't, they would only do like one take for some scenes, and you can kind of tell. But yeah, that's none of the names were commercially viable. All the names that I have for potential bands are there's only one that's original. All the others I got from like name generators. You know those stupid Facebook posts that are like, find your punk band name and it's your first letter of your name and the day you were born or some shit like that. And it was Shit Vision, Garbage Fuck. I think Dead Name Harem was one. The one that I came up with was I think Rotten Puss. Which I'm really proud of for some reason. I just like the idea of like one of the T-shirts just being like a zombie cat. That's like peak me, you know.
Perfect.
I really like that. If I ever watch out for our first EP, never, you know. But you know, yeah. So they have that little scene, and that's kind of fun. And then Brody fucks up trying to play guitar, and Zach's like, "I thought you said you could play, man." And then Brody's like, "Yeah, I'm just rusty." And then you know they keep rehearsing or whatever. They go to film that video in the woods, which is a very obvious like you know black metal thing. There's one video in particular that I'm pretty sure it pulls from. I can't remember the name of it, but there's some black metal band that made this shitty fucking music video in the woods. It's hilariously bad. But yeah, they do that, and then they're like getting ice cream or whatever, or just getting stuff from I think they're just putting gas or something, and then yeah, Brody meets Medina, and then like you know it's real awkward, and then Medina's like, I'm gonna go get ice cream. You want to come along? And Brody's like, yeah, I guess, and like he's still wearing corpse paint, mind you. They all are, and one part that got me too is when he's talking to Medina. Medina's back is to everybody else, and Giles and Dion are like dry humping in the background, and that part made me laugh a little because I think Medina turns around and they just kind of like awkwardly stop and leave. I thought that was pretty good, but then yeah, they go and they're sitting on the park bench and this is another one of my favorite parts is when she like asks like what kind of bands he would recommend or whatever, and he starts giving her CDs, and they're all like these disgusting like artwork fucking CDs and names and shit. And I was like, that's pretty funny. That's exactly how that would go.
Oh, another fun fact: Brody and Medina were both Power Rangers.
What?
They've both been in Power Ranger series.
What the fuck? Like in America or
Yes.
like what?
Yeah.
Which
Brody,
when?
Brody's actor was in the RPM series,
Okay,
and
yeah.
Medina's actress was in the Samurai series.
Really?
Mm.
Huh. You learn something new every day. I didn't know that. That's fucking crazy.
She was a Red Ranger. He was a Green Ranger.
That makes sense. I can see that. A Red Ranger? Really? Huh. Okay. Wow. You learn something new every day. I'm sure my buddy Mark already knew that. But that's besides the point. Because that thing of like showing like somebody that's infinitely prettier than you, like the type of music you listen to, that's about how it would go. Just like, oh, okay, this is wow. like just wow. And I'm like, yeah, well, you know.
But hey, she listens to it and she has her awakening.
She has her awakening.
She has her
yeah.
little vision, just like Brody had his little vision.
Yeah, Brody has
earlier
his
in the
little
movie.
vision where like Medina's at her. It's like Medina's at her feet, and then she like takes her shirt off.
No,
or something.
he eye lasers it off.
Yeah, eye lasers them off. Yeah, and apparently they were not near each other when they filmed that. I think because I think Medina's actress said like if I had known. If if Brody's actor had been in the studio with me when I filmed that, she's like I wouldn't have wanted to do it. She's like I was all gung ho because it was just gonna be me, you know. And I was like, oh well, okay, you gotta respect that, I guess. But yeah, she has her little thing, and it's like it's just like two women are at her feet, and they start making out. You know, it's like reminds me a lot of heavy metal.
Yeah,
That's that right there is very heavy metal, and you know, so she has her little moment. I don't remember which CD she puts in, but she puts in one of them. It doesn't really matter. And then is that when she runs into Zach? I want to say
no.
because they got to find the.
Well, first it was shown that the cousin was watching that the whole time, and he saw Brody and her interacting.
And then he kicks his ass at school.
Medina at some point goes up to Zach while he's stealing gas out of an ambulance.
Out of an ambulance. Yeah, that's a good gag too.
And
don't you think you'll feel bad? No.
No.
And then it cuts to a wide shot. It's a fucking ambulance. That was pretty good. That's a good visual gag.
But yeah, she gives him a note for Brody, and he's like, "Don't read it." Of course, he reads it.
Oh, of course. Of course, Zach's an angry man.
So, and it was for Brody to go meet up with Medina sometime later. So of course he doesn't show up because he didn't get the note. But Zach shows up instead, and is like, "Oh, Brody's not interested in you." Blah blah.
Yeah.
And then he kisses her.
Yeah. Classic friend shit, you know. But anyway, then they go to band practice because they at some point they also go to Ricky Dagger's house. And you know, they find him. They try to take his Hacks and Steel record, and he's
Sword.
like, what's that?
Hacks and Sword.
Whatever. You know what I mean? Hacks and Sword. Fuck it. I don't give a shit. Whatever. Hacks and Sword. Yeah. Listen, man. It's Monday, so they try to take it. They take it, and he wakes up, and he's just like, "Oh, fucking, what are you doing? Stop
Give him my
that!"
shit.
And then, meanwhile, this fucking Agent 47 wannabe
Oh yeah, I forgot about these dudes.
just pulls up. He just pulls up, and he comes in to kill, what's his name? Ricky Daggers?
Daggers.
Yeah, I almost said Ricky Baker. It's not the same person. That is a visual effects artist, and it's Rick Baker. But yeah, so they, you know, he's like, take this and, you know, guard it with your life. What do you hide it? Don't let anybody get it or whatever. And then this Agent 47 motherfucker comes in and slits Ricky Daggers' throat with a very gnarly looking practical effect, I gotta say. That was pretty rough.
Oh yeah, that's another great statement for this movie. The effects.
Yeah, the effects are like charmingly low budget. I don't know, like
They're very effective.
Yeah, but they're good. Yeah, they're pretty good. There's some crazy shit later on, especially. It's very good. But yeah, he just kind of digs in and kills him, and then you know, he doesn't get the record, so he goes back to his handler, I guess. And the guy
Aeon.
What's his name?
Aeon.
Aeon?
Yeah.
What a stupid fucking name. Anyway, so then he's there, and he's like, you know, you got to be taught a lesson, right? So then, like, these two, like, cloaked figures come out of nowhere and cut his head off. And then he's like, what the fuck? He's like, you put a tarp down. Like that's a brand new rug. Like, do it again. And then they just kind of look at him. He's like, do it again. And then they just kind of, I love this part too, because like the physicality of the two of them where they're just like, fucking, all right,
Okay.
just get his head, put the tarp down. All right. And then they like mime cutting his head off, and he's like, good. And then like some girl,
That's better.
and then like yeah, that's better. Then some girl comes up from under the desk because he's
What's her
getting
name?
Bill Clinton.
Shayna?
He's getting Bill Clinton, and then he just pushes her head back down, and you know how it is, Australians. Anyway, so New Zealanders, whatever.
Gotta live life fast because an animal might kill you the next day.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, I believe it. More in Australia than New Zealand. Definitely more in Australia, but. They from there, that's how you find out that there's like this, I guess, cult, for lack of a better term, trying to find
The record for some reason.
the record, which is just a Rick Astley record, by the way. Also in the sleeve,
They got Rickrolled.
They got Rickroll, baby. Also in the sleeve, they have it's like music written in Latin, and they try to play that a couple times, and whenever they play it, like, people within earshot start like getting kind of like sick. They start like vomiting blood and shit. I think the uncle like cries blood at one point. But eventually they get it. And when they get it, it basically summons demons that possess everybody.
Yep.
And shit kind of goes sideways real quick.
You get that big montage of everyone just throwing up blood, even
Yeah.
a baby in a stroller shooting
Yeah,
blood.
that's right. Everything goes sideways like hilariously fast. Like there's no build up to it. It just fucking happens. And yeah, it's pretty funny. I don't know, like the whole like situation of the movie was very funny to me too. But yeah, so they all start throwing up blood and shit. Classic New Zealand stuff. And then, like, everybody gets possessed. And I don't remember exactly how it plays out. But, like, I think... how did it work? Because Aeon... No. What's his name? Brody goes to school. And some guy is, like, wearing sunglasses. And he like, floats next to him and starts telling him, hey, yeah, all this terrible shit's going to happen. And he's like, all right, thanks, Ted. And then he just floats back. And then he floats back into the frame. And he's just like, and then he keeps taunting him or whatever. And then he fucks off. But then they're in math class.
Yeah, the teacher.
And the teacher starts shitting blood.
Yep.
Very aggressively, I might add. And again, that's one of those like, that's one of those like dick joke type things where I'm just kind of like, okay. Okay, that's all right. This is whatever. And then he starts throwing up blood on some poor girl in the front. That's rough.
Yeah.
And my favorite thing is that nobody fucking questions it. They're just like, oh man, something was wrong with him.
Yeah.
There's like nothing. There's like no like. Nobody goes to like the principal and he's like, hey, this guy's shitting blood and throwing up on another student like purposefully. What do we do about that? Like nobody. And that's why I say it like goes sideways hilariously fast. Because before you know it, like everybody's like possessed and trying to kill everybody. And it's kind of funny.
Yep.
But like at one point you have Dion and Giles like trying to find Brody's house, and Dion has fucking Hulk hands, and Giles I think has like
a paintball,
paintball
gun, with
gun
dice
yeah.
in it.
Yeah, because he puts the dice in it because the paintballs weren't working, and then what's her name? Medina shows up and splits the possessed dude's head in half with an axe. Very good practical effect again, and and then they decide to go to the school, and they leave a note for Zach and Brody, who are currently trying to find. Is this where they're trying to find the pieces? No. They're going back to the house to get the pieces of paper. So they eventually get there, and Zach sees the note on the door, and he hides it
Again, like a
which
prick.
I don't understand why he hides. I guess like he felt bad, so then like he just wanted to be away from them as much as possible, so that way Brody wouldn't find out.
Yeah.
Because like if he didn't care, then I don't think he would have tried to hide anything. I think he feels bad because I think the actor mentioned that like Zach's just kind of a guy that acts like he doesn't care, but like he's kind of hurt, so like he doesn't really like show it, but like deep down, and once you get past all the muck, there's a good person there, you know.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, that's kind of how he came off. But before that, I think they're at Zach's dad's mechanic shop, and that's when they first encounter the possessed, because Zach's dad is like beating his head against the garage door, as they would say,
The garage.
and the gay rage, you know. Got a lot of that, but so he's beating his head against the door, and you know, they go to check on him, and like he does like a Pan's Labyrinth thing with his eyes in his hands, and he's like, "Oh, I see you," and then, you know, again, very Evil Dead, and they fight him for a little bit, and then he gets his head smashed by an engine block. And I like this bit because Brody's like, "I'm sorry, man." And Zach's like, "Fuck!" Like he has an actual emotional reaction despite like not giving a shit about his dad. And then he's like, "You know what?" He's like, "I think this is how he would have wanted to go out anyway." And then Brody's like possessed with an engine block falling on his head. And then Zach's like, "Fuck yeah, man!" Like, I was like, "That's pretty funny."
That wasn't his original death though.
Oh, it wasn't? Well, how was he
No.
supposed to die?
They had like some like sander thing type device that they swirled on his face, but they didn't like the effect, so they just crushed him.
Oh, that's right. Because when okay, yeah. Isn't there a Kill and Hatchet like that where he takes like a belt sander or something?
Yeah.
Okay, that's in the second one, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, you know.
Oh, he does it in both.
Well, excuse the fuck out of me then.
No, all three. He uses the sander. Yeah.
What about the fourth one?
No. We don't talk about the fourth one.
Well, we're gonna one day.
One day, but
Whether you like it or not.
for now,
Yeah. So he dies, and also I like that Zach's wearing a spiritual healing shirt, which is very ironic given the circumstances of the movie, which is a Death album. It's a pretty good album. Not my favorite Death album, but it's pretty good. But yeah, he's wearing that shirt, and then they go to the house, and you know all that stuff happens. They meet the aunt and uncle, who are both possessed now, and a very comical fight ensues.
Yep.
Where they go into the bedroom, and I think Brody tries to find.
Yeah, this is when they find.
Yeah,
all that
Brody
shit.
tries to find, like, he's like, my dad's super religious. Maybe he's got like holy water or crucifix or some shit. So he opens a box called church stuff.
Church stuff.
And it's just a bunch of like sex toys and shit. And I think Zach's like, what are these? He's got like anal beads, and he's like, what are these? And Brody's like, oh, those are rosary beads. It can't be what I think they are. And then like Zach's got like a fucking giant, like double-ended too. I need to stress that it's a double-ended one. A giant black double-ended dildo. And he like, doesn't he like put it in Brody's mouth or some shit? Or he like
moves it to his face.
he like moves it to his face or something. Yeah. He's like, oh, why would you do that? And so, you know, that's what they fight him with. I think they eventually get separated at one point. Zach is about to be killed by the uncle, and then he de-jaws the uncle with a dildo.
Yep.
A very good practical effect that looks like it was straight out of the 80s. It was very cool to see that. And then Brody is dealing with the aunt. Zach comes in, and I think he throws vibrators at her, and they don't do anything.
Yeah.
He's like, these suck, and then Zach's under attack, so Brody's like, oh, I have an idea. So he goes to get a chainsaw that was like in a frame earlier in the movie, and as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, that's going to be used later. And
Yep.
so then he gets that. He comes back in, disembowels the aunt, but she just keeps on trucking. And eventually,
first you get the comedic thing of him trying to start the thing
over
over and over again.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that part. I did. How the fuck did I forget about that? God damn. It's because I watched it on Friday. But yeah, so then he starts it. You know, it's pretty funny. And then at one point, I think after he disembowels her, like she gets the upper hand and like, or does he disembowel? Either way, she like puts his head towards the blade at one point.
Yeah.
I feel like, does Zach get her off of him and then he stabs her in the head with the vibrators, I think is what happens.
I can't remember the exact events.
I don't either. I can't remember him either.
Either way, she ends up dead.
She ends up dead with 2 vibrators in her head. What a way to go out, you know? If only we could all die that way. But so then she dies, and I think Brody tries to go get the pages. They fly out the window, and but before that, his cousin comes in, and he just decapitates him at the jaw. That's a rough one. And then
It's like, I don't think he was possessed.
No, he was. Yeah, he said "Hail Satan," something like that. And then he dies. He was a piece of shit. He deserved it. Anyway, so they go on a quest to find the pages. Meanwhile, Aeon and that woman,
Shauna, whatever the fuck her name is.
Yeah, whatever her name, it doesn't matter. They show up, and he's like, I'm here to fucking be possessed by as whatever the fuck his name is.
The blind lord demon, whatever.
Yeah. The blind lord demon, who is mentioned earlier in a scene where they go to the record shop to talk to the fortune teller lady, and she's like, oh yeah, he's a fucking demon, and the only way to stop him is to, before she can finish, her husband rips her heart out and eats it, and then she gets possessed, and then they fight him off or they run away. I don't remember which one happens, but so then Aeon gets killed by what's her name, and she's like, I'm gonna be the vessel for the blind guy or whatever.
Yeah.
And then he's like, all right, well, you got to find Brody and, stop the fucking thing.
Or they were like, it doesn't matter. His vessel will be the most evil human that's nearest.
Nearest to them, yeah. And they mentioned that, like, at 3 a.m. is when he's going to come back. And then he's like, 3 a.m., like, our time? Or do they care about daylight savings time? Do they? Which is a good point. That's a good thing to bring up, because so much folklore is like, oh, it'll be at this time. Okay, but, like our time, or like New York time, like Eastern Pacific? How does that work? But yeah, so then anyway, eventually they all get to the school. Brody gets a nasty cut at some point, I think from his aunt. And so they're at the school and Medina's patching him up. And Brody notices Zach's jacket in her purse. And he's like, that's Zach's jacket. And he's like, when did you see Zach? And she's like, oh, fucking, I don't know. And then
that night you blew me off.
And then she owns up to it, and she's like, well, you didn't get my note? And then Brody's like, no. And then he gets mad, tries to fight Zach. Zach beats the shit out of him, and he's like, I never liked you anyway. And then, he leaves, and
first he just claims he wasn't interested in Medina. He was just bored.
Yeah, he was just bored. And again, that's why it's like, I don't know. Like, he's like, I was just bored. He's like, I didn't think you were going to do anything. He's like, So yeah, then they, fight, and he fucks off for a little bit. And he's like, y'all are going to die without me. And then they're like, whatever, buddy. So then they decide to go to... Well, they get all the pages, right?
Yeah, in a little montage.
Yeah, and then they decide to go to Ricky Dagger's house again, but I don't remember why.
I don't remember either.
They go there, all right? And what's her name's already there, and she's like, fucking, everything's gonna happen, bitch. You can't stop me. And
she tears up the pages.
And then she ties them all up, and then I think they're about to be killed by, like, some of her henchmen, right? Mm-hmm. And then Zach shows up in corpse paint and just fucking kills everybody.
Yeah.
And there's the part where Dion's like, do you think they'll let us go if we soil ourselves? And he's like, well, I guess we're going to find out. And then Zach saves him. And then he's like, and then, him and Brody reconcile. And, they're getting all their plans together. And Zach walks up with 2 chainsaws. And he's like, hey, can you give me a quick pull off real quick? Or can you pull me off real quick? And Medina's just kind of like, pfft. And then she's like, oh, okay, yeah. And she just start the chainsaws. And that was another one of those jokes where I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that's kind of funny. But anyway, then they launch their final assault where Brody's going to try to play the Black Hymn from memory. And Dion gets separated. and he gets sub-zeroed.
Yep.
He gets poor fucking guy.
Just gets his head ripped
He
off.
just get with the spine still attached, dude. That's sub-zeroed, baby. He gets fucking annihilated. That's like one of the gnarlier practical effects where I was like, fuck.
You know, when I watch that scene, that just makes me think of like my most favorite, like head coming off and everything else still being attached scene that I've ever seen. It was in I don't remember which one, but one of the Children of the Corn movies,
Oh.
where the corn stalks just wrap around this dude's head and just slowly pull up, and it just overly extends the death. And then by the time it's done, you just have this very long meat chunk just hanging off a head that's still like squirming and shit.
That's pretty neat. That's like in The Thing, kind of. That also reminds me of Pumpkinhead 2, where he just picks a dude up and just pops his fucking head off like it's nothing. I'm just like, oh, poor him. That's Stan Winston, baby. But yeah, so anyway, he tries to play the song. Giles tries to hold people off.
With his paintball dice gun.
Yeah, and then he gets his arm ripped off, and he gets beaten with it. He gets Quan Chi'd, if you will, except with Quan Chi, it would be his leg.
Or originally Havoc.
No, that was Mortal Kombat 4. That's Quan Chi's fatality in MK4. He rips your leg off and beats you to death with it.
you're right, you're right.
And then Havoc had that fatality in Deception.
Yeah.
And then Quan Chi had it again in MK9. And I
Aren't
thought
you
that was...
excited? Mortal Kombat 12?
Yay! Cool. I'm glad it's not Injustice.
Thank God.
I didn't want another Injustice. A lot of people are kind of upset about that. I don't care, though. I'm glad. Any more Mortal Kombat is good for me, baby. Apparently, it's coming out this year, too. That's crazy. No fucking announcement or anything. They must be, like, ghost dropping it or something. Warner Brothers had to fuck it up and leak it.
I didn't hate 11. I just wasn't, like, fully invested in it.
It's because you're getting older, Justin.
I had more fun with X.
It's because you're getting older and you don't have as much time as you used to.
No, not that just that. You can't put the Predator in the game and then take him away.
I mean, you can. It's called
No.
licensing issues. Because, copyright and stuff is fucking stupid. But yeah, so he gets Quan Chi'd with an arm, though. Didn't Darius in Deception have a fucking stupid fatality like that?
I think he did. No, he had that one where he just, like, pulled their body apart and then put it back together.
But there
in a
was
weird
another
way.
one where he, like, I swear, like, no, Havoc is who I'm thinking of, where he eats your arms off.
Yeah,
And then he,
eats the
like,
arms.
snaps your neck or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Deception was my favorite of the 3D titles. But
That was the first Mortal Kombat I fully played.
they're having a good time. The blind one's coming. And what's her name takes all her clothes off to be the vessel. She gets killed, I think. And then Zack becomes the most evil person in the room because he just killed her.
Yeah.
And then he gets possessed. And, makeup looks pretty good. Not fantastic or anything, but it looks pretty good. And then he starts, like, beating on Brody. And then he starts picking on Medina. And while he's doing that, Brody takes it upon himself to play a sick-ass solo to get Zack to come back, which feels very Tenacious D. But I liked it a lot. And so Tenacious D is another thing that this movie kind of reminded me of. But I think Tenacious D is funnier because that's Jack Black. And also I can't get over Ben Stiller's cameo in Guitar Center because that's so fucking funny. It's just the fucking this way, and he does the fucking devil horns. It's so stupid. Also, Dio's in that movie. How can you hate a movie that's got Dio in it? Also, Meatloaf, I guess. So Tenacious D is very good. But yeah, so they're all Zack's like, you gotta kill me, man. He's like, it's gonna come back and it's gonna fuck everything up.
Finish me off.
So Brody reluctantly kills Zack.
With the razor that they made their little friendship pact with.
Yeah, that's right. They did the fucking blood pact shit. So then and then he kills Zack, and then he's all sad, and it flash forwards.
2 months later.
Flash forward is what I meant to say.
You get 2 months later in the metal font that they had to subtitle.
Yeah, and then after that, you see that Medina and Brody are together now. And Medina rightfully implies that Corpse Grinder is the better vocalist for Cannibal Corpse, and she's right. I don't care what you fucking tell me about Chris Barnes, Corpse Grinder's a better vocalist. He's had more longevity. His growls are better. He doesn't do that fucking ee. He doesn't do all that shit. He's better. Corpse Grinder's I don't even fucking like Cannibal Corpse that much, but Corpse Grinder's better. Fuck you. Anyway, yeah, because Chris Barnes does do the mic cupping a lot, and I don't like it. I don't like that either. I'm with Medina on that one. I don't like mic cupping. I think it's lame. People that can't scream do that. People that can't do death growls do that shit. But you know, so they're together, and then like Brody's listening to a record, and then like a demonic voice comes from the thing, and then it's like, no, I'm just playing with you, mate. And then he's like, Zach, and then the credits start. And then we get a mid-credits scene where he's talking to, or an after-credits scene where he's talking to Zach on the through the record player, and Zach's like, I like this part a lot too, because he's like, how's hell? And he's like, oh, hell's awesome, man. He's like, Kurt Cobain's down here, John Lennon and Paul McCartney, which is one of my favorite jokes from the movie. He's like, the whole original Mayhem's down here. He's like, everybody's down here, man. He's like, it's cool. And then he's like, you got to keep playing, man. You got to keep playing and all this other stuff. And then they start. And he's like, all right. He's like, but I'm not going to call it Deathgasm. Like, I got to come up with a different name. So then it's the same gag where they just keep coming up with death metal band names. And then the movie ends. And I'm like, that's a good ending. I like that ending a lot. It's very, like, it's just a good ending. But that bit where he's like, Freddie Mercury's down here, you know, Kurt Cobain, with that John Lennon and Paul McCartney gets me, because there's a stupid fan theory. This is about to get real fucking Beatles nerdy real quick. Okay, so in the 60s, Beatles were at the height of their power. And supposedly, people... Oh, this is the dumbest shit. Me and Kale have talked about this, because Kale's like the biggest Beatles fan I know. And we've talked about this stupid fucking theory, where it all started with Sgt. Pepper, because Sgt. Pepper has the album art that kind of looks like a funeral vaguely, and then you have like a doll with like head trauma in a car at his like sitting on his lap, and then like there's old wax figures of the Beatles, and then the new Beatles, and then like, you know, it's a bunch of it's the cycle of it. The whole point of that album cover to me has always been, okay, old Beatles is dead. This is what we're going to do from now on. We're not going to tour anymore. We're just going to make whatever the fuck we want in the studio, right? So Sgt. Pepper has a song called Day in the Life. And also people draw comparisons with like the whole idea of like there being a band within a band is like a reference to this idea too. But yeah, so in A Day in the Life, John Lennon's got a verse where he's talking about how like a guy died in a car accident, which isn't accurate, because the lyric is he blew his mind out in a car, which implies to me suicide. But people took that as John Lennon giving hints that the real Paul McCartney died, and they replaced him with a body double, because they were like, he sings different, he looks slightly different, when in actuality Paul McCartney just fucking got older, okay? And then it's like, oh, and the new Paul, who they affectionately call Fall, by the way, for fake Paul, he's actually right-handed. They had to teach him how to play left-handed and all this other dumb shit. And he's like, yeah, but like the car on the lap of the doll with head trauma, that's supposed to be a hint for you to know that like Paul McCartney died in a car accident, and then fucking you know, the old Beatles, it's to symbolize that the old Beatles is dead because Paul McCartney's dead, so the new Beatles with new body double. Because the idea was that like the Beatles were so popular that they wouldn't have stopped if Paul McCartney had actually died. So they had to come up with this excuse to keep going, and that's been a popular theory since the fucking 60s. And Paul McCartney or John Lennon fucking wrote Glass Onion. So then Magical Mystery Tour comes out, right? They're all animals. I need to say this first. Magical Mystery Tour comes out. They're all animals, and then like I think it's the fact that there's a line in I Am the Walrus, or no, it was Strawberry Fields Forever, where it's Strawberry Fields Forever, where at the end there's a part where John Lennon says in a really slowed down voice, cranberry sauce. But it sounds like he's saying, I buried Paul. So people took that and they were like, see, it's true. And all this other shit. And then also on that album, which was accompanied by a movie, there's a song called Your Mother Should Know. And in the movie, when they're singing that song, they're all dressed in white and they're all wearing red roses, except for Paul McCartney. He's wearing a black rose. And they're like, see, that's a hint that Paul McCartney's actually dead. And that's what that is. And then to make matters worse, on the White Album, Glass Onion comes out, which was John Lennon basically saying, hey, y'all are fucking stupid. I'm just writing, I get high on LSD and just fucking write shit sometimes, all right? That's what I was high as fuck when I wrote I Am the Walrus is basically what Glass Onion's about. Because John Lennon, but in that, John Lennon says, here's another clue for you all, mockingly, mind you. He says the walrus was Paul. So then people were like, oh, a walrus, that's the symbol of death in some cultures. So Paul McCartney, something stupid like that. I'm not even joking. I wish I was making this shit up. But like, so then like they're all talking about that shit, and then Abbey Road comes out, and I can't remember exactly what it was. I think with Abbey Road, let me look at the album art real quick because I need to verify something real quick. Abbey Ryad, yeah, that's what I typed. Let me see. So this album art, yeah. So the idea with this one was that everybody on the album cover is walking in step with each other except for Paul, and Paul is also barefoot. So they're like, see, that's what Paul was buried in. That's what the real Paul was buried in. And that's why he's not walking in step with the others, because he's not one of the Beatles. He's not a real Beatle. Yeah, that's the kind of shit, and people have believed that for years. So that joke being in this movie was very funny to me. And also Brody's face where he kind of thought about it. He's like, oh, okay, yeah, okay. like that was very funny to me. John Lennon would definitely be in hell, though. I need to stress that. But yeah, it was. I think that's a really good ending. That was your Beatles trivia for the day. I can't believe that shit's that like.
Didn't a part in the movie also make reference to Judas Priest having to go to court over their subliminal messaging that caused suicides,
he's like we just got to play it backwards. He's like Judas Priest style, yeah, because that was his idea, to play the Black Hymn backwards, yeah. Which if you ever listen to a Sabbath song backwards, that's pretty weird. But then yeah, I mean that's always been a thing with music though. Like Led Zeppelin's, if you play Stairway to Heaven backwards, you satanic messages, and I'm just like, you're stupid, dude. Whatever. Who gives a shit? Even if it's there, I don't fucking care. It's still Stairway. I don't give a shit.
Like that video. It's like that video I found where this woman's is convinced that Monster is a satanic product.
This is 666. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
With Arabic
numbers in the
whatever.
Hebrew language or the Hebrew numbers. Yeah, something like that.
And then if you flip the can upside down, it has an upside down cross in between the L, and it's like. You're gonna pull something stretching that hard.
It's just like people said that Taco Bell was demonic because if you look at the logo a certain way, it's like a lizard's eye or something. Because of like it's dumb. Don't I wouldn't put any stock in it. I wouldn't put any stock in it. But yeah, that's Deathgasm. Deathgasm's pretty fun. I'd recommend it. Yeah. I think it's a pretty good movie. It's very fun. Again, I don't know. I know I broke what I said earlier. I wouldn't say it's good, but it's got heart. And there was supposed to be a sequel, but it didn't happen because in New Zealand, I think to get funding, you have to go through like a New Zealand Film Commission or something. And Australia in particular is really stupid about movies and video games. Like people had to import like Mortal Kombat 9 when that came out, because if a game's rated a certain thing, it can't be sold. And I'm assuming the same goes for movies. And he got rejected by the New Zealand Film Commission, so it never got made. But like the whole genesis of Deathgasm was there was like a contest where you could get a certain amount of money put towards your movie, and he sent in his script and it won. And it was like the script that he said it was the most ambitious script that I had the least confidence in. He's like, and that's the one that ended up winning. And he's like, all right, I guess I'm doing Deathgasm. And yeah, he did it. I mean, it's got heart.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie, it's got heart. But Yeah, that's Deathgasm. You got anything else to say about Deathgasm, Justin?
It's worth a watch. At least one.
See, now, you'd think this would be a short episode, but you forgot about our stupid-ass sidetrack segments. And to this week's sidetrack segment, we're going to talk about Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania.
Oh.
Why the fuck not?
Why the fuck not?
Because we both saw it. I'm pretty sure I saw it the same day as you because I think I
Thursday.
saw your car. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
saw
saw
it
Thursday.
Thursday, but I saw it at 6:30. So
I went at 7:25.
oh, look at that! I knew I recognized your car. So Ant-Man and the Wasp.
You were in the theater right next to mine.
Probably. I was in 3. I was in theater
Yeah.
3. That's fucking. Did you see it in 3D?
No.
Okay, thank God. I was gonna call you an idiot. Sorry, but anyway, so 3D movies aren't worth it anymore. But so Ant-Man and the Wasp. I feel okay. let me. I'm gonna be upfront with you here. All right. So at this point, I'm just watching MCU stuff just to fucking watch it.
Just to watch it.
It's not like I don't really I'm not invested anymore, and that might be why I liked this one as much as I did. So here's the thing. Before the movie came out, I was seeing a bunch of like memes about it, a bunch of MODOK memes specifically, and I was like, "Oh, that looks fucking terrible." And I'm like, this has the possibility of being either the worst fucking thing I've ever seen, or surprisingly something that I will enjoy a lot. So when I went to go, I went into the movie with very low expectations because, I mean, I don't know. I don't really give a shit about I don't really have skin in the game anymore, right? I already knew going in that I'd probably like Jonathan Majors as Kang because when he was in Loki as He Who Remains, I was like, oh, that's interesting. I want to see what they do with this guy. So I go into the movie and I'm watching it, and we're just gonna spoil it by the
I
way.
was gonna say spoilers.
So I'm sorry.
Don't listen if you want to.
I'm fucking sorry, but I have to mention this. It was somewhere around the point where David Dasmalchian's character got full of holes, and then he was like, "I have holes," and then the part where Michael Douglas comes in with a bunch of socialist ants and they fucking almost rip Kang apart.
I love that.
that I realized, oh, I love this. Like it was around that time where I was like, oh fuck, this is kind of good. I actually really like this. I like it in the same way that I like Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Is it a great movie? Not really.
No.
But like there's enough in it that makes me like that like hits like that weird part of my brain that likes stupid slashers and schlocky B movies, where I'm just like, oh fuck, this was made for me, you know. And I expected it with Multiverse of Madness because that's Sam Raimi. Like if you go back and watch those Spider-Man movies, those are cheesy as shit. That's the point.
Yeah.
Sam Raimi is a very cheesy man. I did not expect this from Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Also, MODOK is like pathetic, and that's the point. Even in the comics, he's pathetic. Like that's the point.
I mean, he's a threat, but he's pathetic.
Yeah, but he's very pathetic, and I like the ending where he's like, at least I get to die an Avenger, and you see like the look on Paul Rudd's face, and he's just like, yeah, you're in. like
You made it.
yeah, you made it. Like, you know, and like that's the thing too. Like with Love and Thunder was by no means the worst MCU movie, okay? But it did have a lot of stupid jokes that did not fit. Ant-Man had a lot of stupid jokes that hit and miss, just like any MCU movie, but they all came at times that I felt were appropriate.
Yeah.
It wasn't like Love and Thunder where Jane has like this crisis about her cancer diagnosis, and then Valkyrie's like, "Oh, look at my Bluetooth speaker," like that. That doesn't happen. There's no fucking screaming goats or nothing. Also, I like the quantum realm quite a bit. I like how they have like their own like cultures and shit. Me and my buddy that I saw it with were talking about it, how like it felt very lived in, and we weren't expecting that. We were expecting it to just kind of be a backdrop. But no, it felt very lived in. They all had their own languages and cultures and shit, and it was pretty cool. I kind of wish we had seen more of that, if I'm being honest. But yeah, even like with MODOK, like it didn't bug me because I'm like, oh, this is is fucking B movie. This is a grade A fucking B movie made for fucking me. The second Michael Douglas was like, I know socialism is a charged word, but these guys, and then what's her name, Evangeline Lilly's like, Dad, and he's like, sorry. And like as soon as that happened, I was like, oh, socialist ants, they made this for me. This movie's for me. I fucking love this movie. Like I'm gonna like this is what like I was worried because I thought. I had heard like a lot of people saying, yeah, this movie is just another one of those MCU movies that it's just a setup movie. And I was like, oh, fuck, it's going to be Iron Man 2 again. And I was like, well, hopefully at least I'll have fun. But then I'm watching it and I'm like, this does not feel, I don't feel the way I felt when I watched Iron Man 2. This has its own story. And like you have an arc for like most of the characters have their own arcs. Michelle Pfeiffer has her own arc. Kang has a fucking great ass arc, which I'm gonna get into Kang in a second. But Cassie has her arc. Even fucking Michael Douglas has an arc. I mean, Scott obviously has an arc, and I thought it worked pretty well. And then we get to Kang. Now I'm gonna be honest. I love Thanos. Thanos is like one of my favorite like comic book movie villains of all time. Josh Brolin was fantastic in that role. Specifically Infinity War Thanos, I have to stress. I don't like Endgame Thanos because I don't like that they went back. But I do like Infinity War Thanos. Infinity War Thanos is so like unrelenting in like his mission to fucking make the universe the way he sees fit. And that's so interesting to me. I love unrelenting villains like that. So I see Kang in this and I'm like, fuck, dude. They made this movie. This movie was made for me 100% because Kang is fucking terrifying and intimidating, and Jonathan Majors plays him so goddamn well. Holy fucking like, listen, man. Like I know I sound like I'm fucking soy facing over here, and I am a little bit, but you have to understand that like. That type of villain is like right fucking up my alley. The type of villain that's like almost unstoppable, that's unrelenting, that believes in what he believes in and will stop at nothing to get to it. And then he's flawed, and he like has like this tragic fucking backstory. Well, kind of tragic, but like he seems like a tragic character because like he's just cursed with this ability to see time the way he does, and he can't fucking stand it. And he's just fucking insane. And he's just, oh my God, he's just so fucking good. Like there's a part where he gets like fucking pissed because I think Scott takes down his barrier that's gonna help him teleport away, and he fucking floats down all calm, and then he just fucking explodes, and he starts fucking like erasing people like they don't turn to ash, they just fucking gone. And I was like, that's fucking scary. That's fucking crazy.
The best part of that is when he does the two-handed one. Like, that was good.
Oh my god.
Like really, if you watch the movie, like to me he's close to how much I like Thanos, but man, he's there.
Yeah, dude, like there's like especially when he's like threatening Scott to get him to do the heist.
He picks up Cassie and turns her so he can ram her head into the wall.
Dude,
like,
and then just how fucking calm he is.
Yeah.
And then that part at the end when Scott's trying to break through and you see those tears coming down his face, I'm like, dude, he's so like fucking multi-layered. Like, that's such a good villain. Oh my God. And then he gets dragged away by ants after MODOK like fucks up his shield or whatever. And yeah, I mean, and then I also like the ending with Scott's like monologuing, and he's like, "Wait, did I mess up?
Fuck it up?
Did I fuck up?" And then he's like, "Well, no, I'm not gonna worry about it. I'm not gonna think about it." And yeah, I'm not saying that this doesn't like set up what's gonna happen, but it still feels self-contained enough. And then also you have Jonathan Majors. And Jonathan Majors, Paul Rudd, and Michael Douglas were my favorite actors in the movie. They all played their parts very well, especially Michael Douglas. He was pretty funny. But you know, it works really well on its own, I think. And yeah, I feel like I'm in Bizarro World again, just like after Multiverse of Madness, where I'm reading all these negative reviews, and I'm like, what the fuck is, like, do y'all people just not like to have fun?
Yeah.
Like again, it's all about how you set your expectations. I don't go into an MCU movie thinking that I'm going to get like a transformative experience with some piece of art. I go into it thinking it's going to be a fun time and thinking it's going to be And if it's schlocky and like it knows it's a comic book movie and like that kind of thing, I love it even more. That's why I love Guardians of the Galaxy so much, because James Gunn fucking knows he's making a comic book movie. Suicide Squad's the same way. James Gunn knew what he was doing with that.
Yep.
And he made it very stylized and very schlocky and very, comic booky. And that's the thing too, is I was talking to my buddy about it, and I was like, comic books have always been like fucking regarded as like the lowest form of like storytelling. Like my whole fucking life growing up, it was like, oh, you read comic books, you're a fucking nerd, And I'm like, I want the movies to feel like that. Like if I'm being, I want them to feel dumb, and I want them to feel ridiculous, and I want them to feel like how they were when I read them as comics. You know what I mean?
I think most people just get stuck on the ultra serious stories in the comics and don't remember that there's really some stupid shit that goes on in the comics.
Man, Polka Dot Man from Suicide Squad didn't just come from nothing. That's a real fucking character. Peacemaker's a real fucking character. Like all these dumb
Thanos copter.
Yeah, the Thanos copter. Like that's the thing, is like dumb shit happens in comics all the time. And yeah, I also like the ending, the what was it, the mid-credits scene where you have all the Kangs, like, and their little council, and you have the different variations from them, which are based on variations from the comics. One of them's the Egyptian one. You have I don't remember the name of the real like technologically advanced one, and then you have like that weird alien one.
Yeah.
And again, Jonathan Majors makes them all distinct.
Yeah, he's got a big a lot of weight on his shoulders.
And I think that's I was reading an interview with him, and he said that's why he wanted to do Kang. He's like, because I get the chance to play multiple versions of myself. He's like, and that as an actor, he's like, that sounds really challenging and fun. And I think he's fucking killing it, man. Because he is scary. Like when he was just erasing people, I was like, oh my God. I was like, this is fucking terrifying.
I mean, I assume all the variants are going to be that vicious, but I don't think they're all going to be like to that level. I mean, I hope they are, because he delivers that so well.
Yeah, dude, he was very good. Like when he was threatening to kill Cassie in front of Scott, I was just like, oh, he fucking means it. Like that is, I have never feared a villain in a comic book movie like this in a while. Like this, like,
and then what he said is like, and then I'll make you watch it over and over
and
again.
over and over again. I was just like, oh my fucking God. Oh my God. But yeah, it's very schlocky. It feels a lot like a B movie. I know I've heard some people say it's kind of pulpy, which I kind of agree with, but like it definitely feels like a comic book. And I think that's what I appreciated about it more than anything. Is it as good as like Guardians of the Galaxy? No, but like I still had fun.
And it's like, I even see people complaining that it wasn't humorous enough. When people bitched about that with Thor.
Yeah, people bitched about that with Thor. They bitch about that with every MCU movie.
What do you want?
At least in this one,
Just
the jokes.
enjoy it.
At least in this one, the jokes came at times that felt appropriate. And also, Ant-Man, as he exists in the MCU, is a pretty quippy character anyway. Also, comic books are full of fucking quips. I need to say that. I know it gets kind of grating sometimes, but that's because like it's different when you're watching it than when you're reading it. I don't know, like it's different for me, because like I'll go back and read Spider-Man comics and be like, man, he's really making a joke like every page, huh? like I mean, he's just really doing his thing, and like that's fine. I think the problem that I have with the MCU is when they do that with characters that aren't like that in the comics.
Yeah.
But Ant-Man, as he exists in the MCU, has always been like a very comic relief, like joke character. So, that's how it felt in this movie, and I thought it worked. I liked it quite a bit. I can't believe, believe me, I thought I was gonna give this shit like 2 stars on Letterboxd and be like, yeah, it was all right. I ended up giving it fucking 4 out of 5, and I was like, I'm gonna be honest, this is very fun. But at the same time, like, I like schlocky, bad fucking B movies and shit. So, like, that's what this felt like to me. And I really enjoyed it. A lot more than I thought I would.
I love that last hand-to-hand between Scott and Kang, too.
Yeah!
When he crushes his helmet, I was like, jeez.
And then just the fucking brutality of that fight, where Scott was punching way above his weight. And Kang was just, like, fucking, like, it wasn't even an issue.
Yeah.
It was like Hulk versus Thanos in Infinity War, where Thanos is just like, "Come on, dude," and then he just fucking like basically beats him into not being angry anymore. And yeah, man, that was. I mean, I thought it was really good. Again, it might not be a good movie, but I've never like rated movies that way. I like, even if a movie's fucking garbage, if I like it, I'm gonna like it. Like, I'm not gonna be like, oh, that movie's bad though. Like, I'm not. No, I'm gonna like it. And I'm surprised that. But again, I think it might be because my expectations were so low because of all the pre-release stuff I'd been hearing and all that. And I was like, well, we'll see. But then, yeah, it was around the end, and then that when he kills that fucking dude with the hammer.
Oh yeah.
That shit was like, he's not even a fucking human, and that shit was brutal. I was like, fuck. Like, I was like, that's rough. And then the reaction from the warrior girl, that warrior woman, was like, I was like, oh yeah, that's rough. That's a rough death. That's and like, that's the thing is like I was like, man, he didn't just erase him either. He like murdered him like brutally. That's the difference there. And I don't know, man. I thought it was a lot of fun. I had a really good time with it, and I'm very excited. I can't believe that I'm actually kind of excited to see where they go from here. More specifically, stuff that involves Kang. I'm very excited to see what they do with him specifically. Yeah. Because, yeah, I'm just waiting for them. Man, if Kang is this fucking good, if they put this kind of fucking, if they put this kind of, what's the word? If they put this kind of drive behind, like, Doctor Doom's going to be fucking horrifying, and I look forward to that. But, yeah, I had a really good time with this movie. And, yeah, I don't know. I'd recommend it. I don't know. I think it's pretty fucking fun. And, there were people on Twitter, like, sharing some of the jokes, or, like the part where Cassie's like, just stop being a dick. And I'm like, okay, but that's how a teenager would talk. Yeah. Like, it's not like Cassie's, like, a 40-year-old woman saying that. She's a fucking teenager. Like, that's how a teenager would talk to somebody. What are you doing? Like, who do you think you're fooling here? Like, listen, it's so funny to me because I saw people get so mad at Martin Scorsese for saying, oh, yeah, they're like carnival rides, not really for me. That's all he said. He didn't say they were bad. He didn't say anything. He's just like, I like my movies my way. If that's your thing, go ahead, but that's not for me. He didn't disparage it. He didn't say it was shitty. He didn't say anything like that. James Cameron and other directors have, but not Martin Scorsese, but people kept fucking harping on him for some reason. And then it's so funny to me that then we get a movie that, for all intents and purposes, does feel like a carnival ride, and nobody fucking likes it. Nobody from that crowd likes it. And I'm just like, what do you do? You're just proving his point now? Like, what the fuck? Yeah. Like, come on. I don't know. I think this is probably my favorite MCU related thing since Doctor Strange. Because I knew I was going to like Doctor Strange because Sam Raimi was behind it. And I knew no matter how fucking cheesy it was, I was going to fucking eat it up. And I did. And, I think the only real complaint that I have with Quantumania is the cinematography's kind of flat. A couple of the jokes didn't land, but, like, that's just standard MCU shit. And, the cinematography was kind of flat, and I don't know. And I also saw people complaining about the visual effects, but, like, outside of, like, MODOK, I guess, just looking weird, the visual effects look fine. Yeah. I don't know what the fuck I don't know what the fuck people are talking about.
Nothing like stood out so massively like in previous movies.
Yeah.
Like I specifically think, I mean, of course everyone's going to point the finger at Black Widow immediately. Yeah. But like for as good effects as Shang-Chi had, it had some pretty bad ones too at some points.
Yeah.
Like in the first part where Wenwu is like first trying to go get the rings or whatever or find the village and that car falls down.
Yeah.
That was like the dumbest, fakest explosion I've ever seen.
Yeah. And then even in like Wakanda Forever, like there were a couple of shots that looked rough. And to be fair, a lot of those shots were in like middle of the day scenes. And I think Quantumania kind of thrives on the fact that like it takes place in the quantum realm, which is kind of dark. Yeah. And it's not very like brightly lit, so I think that kind of like helps. But like the visual effects didn't stand out to me at all. Like Thor had some pretty bad visual effects too, but like Nah, Quantumania looked fine. I don't know what the fuck people were on about, man.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like I'm in Bizarro World because everybody's hating on it, and I'm like pleasantly surprised that I enjoyed it as much as I did. Like I think I saw a Twitter post where somebody was like, "Oh, like how is anybody supposed to take MODOK seriously? He's so pathetic." And I'm like, "That's the point. That's literally the point. Like he's a joke. He's always been a joke. That's the point with MODOK." I mean, even his fucking name, mechanical organism designed only for killing, that's so fucking corny. And that's the point. That's what he's always been. Oh my goodness. He's a floating head with baby limbs.
Yep.
What the fuck do you expect? Oh my god. I don't know. I think it all comes down to like expectations.
And then didn't they just have that animated MODOK series?
Yeah, on Hulu, that was a comedy.
Yeah, exactly. So
It's just like whatever, man. I don't know. I think it's fine. I don't know if I'm going to buy it on Blu-ray, but I'm definitely going to watch it again when it comes to Disney Plus because I really liked it. I don't know. It was just a lot of fun, which is, I don't know what I expect from these movies. Infinity War, for as grave as it was also very fun. So, you know.
You get to see everyone come together finally after all the build-up.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. But yeah, no, I enjoyed it quite a bit. And yeah, I recommend it.
My only worry is because they already announced the titles for both Avengers movies.
Yeah, Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars, yeah.
So if Kang is going to be a one and done in that movie,
I don't think so.
I would hope he's not a one and done.
No, I don't think I know he's probably the next big bad, but for Secret Wars to work, Doctor Doom's got to be in it too. So I don't know how they're going to do it. Because if Chadwick hadn't died, Doctor Doom, from what I've read, was supposed to be one of the post-credit scenes in Wakanda Forever. That was supposed to be where you introduce him, and it would be like Blade's introduction at the end of Eternals, where it's just like his voice, but it was going to be Doctor Doom. Kind of like end of Avengers 1 with Thanos, kind of like that. Yeah. That's what it was just going to be like a slow like tease. And then, you know, eventually, but then Chadwick died and that kind of fucked everything up. And, you know, so I don't know when they're going to introduce Doctor Doom. I don't know how they're going to introduce Doctor Doom.
I mean,
but
they're probably just going to wait for Fantastic Four.
Yeah, casting's real important with him, though.
Yeah,
if they don't cast him right, it's going to suffer. But, I mean, they've been pretty good with their villain casting so far. You know, Thanos, Josh Brolin killed it. Jonathan Majors is fucking killing it.
Even short-lived villains have been great.
Yeah. Yeah, even fucking Elizabeth Olsen as Scarlet Witch was fantastic. You know, James Spader as Ultron was great. Loki, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
You know.
And then we also got the tease for season 2 of Loki finally.
Yeah. Oh, I'm excited for that too.
I love that too, how Mobius is like, you made him sound like he's the most threatening thing in the world. Because he is. He was like, yeah, we just watched that.
I can't wait. But yeah, and then what was it? There was I think part of the reason that I liked this one more than like Iron Man 2 is because I don't think Whiplash is a great villain, honestly. In Iron Man 2, and then in this one, it had the benefit of having like fucking Kang.
Yeah.
So you know, I feel like that's if Kang wasn't the villain, I probably wouldn't have liked this as much. But like, that's neither here nor there because Kang is the villain. So he's very good, and his motives were like that part where Michelle Pfeiffer touches the genetic thing, and she like sees all the things that he's done. And I was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Like, this dude's fucking scary. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited. I can't believe I'm excited for the MCU again. What the fuck is happening? But anyway, yeah, that's our certified sidetrack segment, where we talk about that. That's the slogan from now on. That's our certified sidetrack segment where we talk about that. That's it. But yeah, so Deathgasm's pretty good. I'd recommend it. Ant-Man, I'd recommend it, surprisingly. I can't believe.
For sure.
I'm saying that. But yeah, both of these movies are like very like get together and watch with your friends, just have fun kind of movies. They're both very different movies, but you know what I mean. So yeah, next week or next time, I should say, we're going to be looking at The Grudge, but not Ju-on The Grudge, just The Grudge, the American remake, directed by Takashi Shimizu of that Grudge. Can't wait to see whether it's better or worse. Probably, I don't know. I guess we'll find out.
I mean, I've heard it's good.
Yeah, me too. But like, I've heard that The Ring is probably the pinnacle of that, of like good
I don't know. I
American remakes.
Never really thought The Ring was that great.
Well, you just don't like Naomi Watts. Anyway, so.
It's not about her.
Well, you know what? I don't want to hear it.
The
I love
only thing I
Naomi Watts.
remember about those movies is everyone's face after they die.
Yeah, it happens.
That's it.
But yeah, so I'm excited to check out The Grudge next time. We're excited, I should say.
Yeah.
So yeah, thanks for listening. Follow us on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook. Follow me on Twitter, I guess.
Everything.
And keep listening. Keep watching. Keep listening. And
My
we
poorly
appreciate
recorded Twitch.
it. Yeah, do that too.
I need a better mic.
Yeah, it happens. We all need better mics. But yeah, so this is a lot of fun. Check it out, and we'll catch you next time with The Grudge,
Yep.
starring Sarah Michelle Gellar. Can you believe it?
I recognize the name, but I don't
Can you believe it?
think I've probably seen her in a movie or so. I don't
Yeah,
know.
she's Buffy.
I've never watched Buffy.
Oh my, she's in I Know What You Did Last Summer. Not Jennifer Love Hewitt. She's the other. Come on, man. She's the other one.
I kind of blocked those movies out of my brain.
Oh my fucking. Anyway,
Because the other ones were really bad.
Of course, but like whatever. They're making another one, by the way.
God.
And yeah, so
Anyways,
I'm gonna track down that Blu-ray or DVD. I don't know what the fuck. I'll find it, and then we're gonna talk about it, and we're gonna have a good time. Isn't that right, George? My little kitty cat. He's just sleeping on the couch. But anyway, so yeah, that's the episode. Thank you for listening.
Yep.
And we'll catch you next time. Say goodbye.
bye.